Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Staraptor as a shadow variant with the new move Fly in the Open Great League. Haven't actually seen anybody really use it, maybe I just missed it, but today we're gonna take a look at this Pokemon here and we're going to have some battles with a very meta team otherwise. So this team definitely should work out as well if you just use some other flying type Pokemon in the back instead of the Staraptor. You mostly don't really expect too much of this Pokemon, but maybe we can get some nice sweeps here today because basically flying close combat both going to destroy nearly every Pokemon in the current meta, which is kind of wild. So here we're going to have the team of the Lantern in the lead, the Sasop of the Vigoroth, also buffed this season, of course, with new move Rock Slide, which you're going to see in action already. And this team is pretty meta, so we're gonna be able to go back into our Lantern here. We're going to most likely see the Drill Run coming through as we're going to use a shield, but they can still get to another move. And we're going to let this move go through because what you need with your Staraptor is some shields. But also what you really kind of want to have is also some energy advantage. Here it's going to be a little bit of a trickier one because the opponent is going to have the bug type Charger Bug in the back. But we can still reach another fly, and this fly is going to be crucial as this is going to get the knockout against the Charger Bug, and so it's going to be still the Wish Cast against the Lantern for whatever reason they decide to go for a charge move here, and we will be able to win the first game. Second game starts amazing here with the best possible lead that I could imagine with a Manton against a Lantern, which is just a crazy good matchup for the Lantern, as the opponent decides to swap into their what's called Dragonair. Normal Dragonair, not even Shadow. Going to be a fairly decent matchup for us. I don't know why I really used a shield here, but we can actually outspeed the opponent, so we can guarantee switch alignment, which is really important. So we're gonna do most likely exactly this, as I use another shield here, as this is going to allow me to align the Lantern against the Mantine, and so we're gonna have a great matchup later on. But also we can still go for a charge move here. Rock Slide is still going to be super effective, does around 50% of the opponent's health, and so we can still even reach a body slam, gonna get them low. Now it's basically one Pokemon with a shield against two Pokemon in the back here, and it's going to be the Galarian Stunfisk in the back. I could have not imagined a worse Pokemon here. I go for the bait and the opponent is gonna call that, which I find really weird because, I don't know, like Close Combat would have one-shot you. Like, it's still the same kind of energy, so maybe sure went for the close combat because a Rock Slide actually knocks me out immediately, which I didn't know at this time. I thought like, okay, for me it's better to go for the fly because now I can still go for another charge move afterwards. But actually a Rock Slide is enough to knock me out. And so my only play here is to try to catch a move. Can we do it? Let's take a look at this one. We can catch the move. And with this, the Rock Slide is going to get wasted onto this Vigoroth with 1 HP. And we can still reach the serve. And hopefully that's going to be enough to knock out the opponent's Galarian Stunfisk. It is, and we can move on to the next game. Next opponent, horrific lead for us. This is a Pokemon that I really don't want to face. It's going to be the Quagsire, which is going to go straight for most likely either the Mud Bomb here or the Awkward here. It's going to be the Mud Bomb, and we can still retaliate with some Body Slams. Luckily, they decide to stay in here, which is going to be actually fairly decent for us because we don't really want this Pokemon on our Pokemon in the back. I still keep my shield for the Staraptor later on, as the opponent has to still take a Body Slam, and this is going to be a winning matchup for me, which is kind of nice. Especially if we're going to... Oh wait, they're swapped out. I didn't even see the swap out. They swapped out into the Superior. This is going to be a little bit bad for us. And now we can swap out into our own Staraptor, and the opponent should only be able to reach a one charge move, which is going to be neutral with the Aerial Ace and does not do that much damage. It still does a ton of damage, of course. But we're going to see the final Pokemon being the Dunsparce. Sadly, I think we're going to be locked in this matchup here, which is going to make this a little bit worse because we can still at least go for another close combat. But we're going to now be in a very tough spot because we still have to beat two basically ground types with our Lantern. The opponent still has here the Drill Run, which is going to be super effective, but also they're going to have the Mud Bomb, which is going to be a stab and super effective, so not ideal. I try to catch the move, and with this fail basically, it's nearly impossible to still win this game. We really needed to catch the move here, but let's take a look at this. We're going to be able to now use a shield maybe still. No, I'm actually going to let this move go through. I think it's my only play to overfarm by quite a bit there, but it's still not really looking that great. We can go for the Thunderbolt. It's not going to get the knockout, and they can still go for a charge move here, and like this, there's nothing that we can do here. We're not going to be able to reach a serve, or are we? We're actually still going to be able to reach a serve, and so the opponent's Quagsire is gonna go down and we win this game. Crazy close one here, but this lead is going to be amazing for me. The Greninja has nowhere to go really for this team. I guess like even my Staraptor is going to do a ton of damage, but also they're just going to decide to stay in the lead, and I'm just going to overfarm a ton of energy. They went for 2 Night Slashes here. I can go for 1 serve. This is going to allow me to guarantee the knockout against the opponent anyway. oh, they're going to use a shield and they have to use 2 shields now. This is exactly why I went for it a little bit earlier than I could have. But this is going to allow me to just get a 2 shield advantage, now 1 shield advantage, but switch advantage, which is going to be very crucial for me. And this is going to be amazing already for my Staraptor in the back, as Staraptor is going to appreciate definitely the current shield advantage, and there is next to no Pokemon in this meta game right now that is going to take a charge move from a Staraptor. So it's going to be a very interesting result at the end, because we're going to be able to catch a move here onto our Vigoroth. Brian does not do that much damage, and we're going to see a Salazzle in the back. This thing is going to hit pretty hard though, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, because now we're also going to get the debuff, and the opponent's still going to have their other Pokemon in the back, which might be able to farm me down, but we can get the knockout here, and we can even farm on the Toxapex, so this is going to be a good game. Next game starting here, going to be a very toxic line from the opponent apparently, because they are running the Gardevoir here, plus also the other thing, what's called the Bastion, which is kind of awkward. We're going to let the move go through, because I expect that we can hopefully still get to a move here. And if they're going to shield this move up, this would be kind of great, because yes, we're going to be able to go into a Staraptor now. Yes, they're going to do a ton of damage, but we're going to get a ton of energy, hopefully enough to knock out the opponent's Bastion as well. I expect that they're going to have a Charmer in the back, and so I can just go ahead and get a ton of energy with my Vigoroth here. And I think I'm going to be in a great spot. I feel like there's nothing that could be in the back that would be really bad for me. And it's going to be here the Victory Bell, which is amazing. I can just go for another Body Slam. I should have went for the Body Slam straight away, by the way. This was kind of silly to go for more counters, but like this, we're going to have a great time here, and Vigoroth is just all it takes to knock out the opponent's Bastion here, so you can go for another Body Slam. Feels like Body Slam does less damage than a counter, but let's move on to the next game. So we wrecked a really, what's called more annoying team, a Grassol line there, but now we're going to have a Talonflame in the lead, and the opponent decides to stay in here, which I find interesting, but I definitely take as I can take any kind of charge move here. It's going to be most likely Brave Bird, and they're going to swap out into a Ludicolo. This Pokemon also got buffed this season with getting Scald, but still a more, I don't know, a little bit more of an anti-meta team, or Pokemon, whatever. It's not really the greatest. I wonder if Bubble Ludicolo has some play in the current meta. I doubt it, to be fair. I feel like the meta is not really too great for it. I guess you still have a chance then against something like the Skarmory, which would be interesting because you resist the fast move. But yeah, we're gonna see the Blizzard coming in, which is kind of interesting. We can go for the full farm, and here in comes the Bastion. We can just go for the close combat and say goodbye to that, but actually it still survives it, which I found really interesting. Did not really expect that the opponent would be able to survive it, but we're going to be able to now go into the next matchup. We're going to have the Beedrill against our Vigoroth. Beedrill is going to be an interesting matchup for us, as we can just go for the Rock Slide here, which is going to allow us to get a shield from the opponent, but I'm forced to use another shield here as well. Or I'm going to let the move go through, which was most likely a little bit of a mistake, but I thought, oh, I can just farm down with my Staraptor and this is going to be fine. But Staraptor is taking so much damage from the fast move, it is mad. There's not going to use a shield here, which is going to be okay for me. But they're going to swap out now into a Miltank, and they can outspeed me here. They're going to get to the Body Slam after just 3 fast moves, which is kind of wild. I can overfarm by a little bit, but I just gotta go for the Fly here, because I know that the opponent is going to have to shield this move up, and they don't even shield this move up, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? I should have went for the close combat instead then. But they're gonna swap back into the Dragonair. Dragonair still has a shield advantage. It is looking pretty dire here, as you can still go for the Thunderbolt. Going to do resisted damage, but quite a bit of resisted damage, so we still maybe have a chance here. I'm going to have to use a shield, because I'm forced to get some more damage in with my Spark, but sadly the opponent is going to be able to reach the next charge move pretty fast afterwards, and so this is going to be a loss for us, but good game to the opponent. Next opponent, we're going to have a Mirror Lead. We have to stay in here. Our backline is, of course the Vigoroth has some play against it, but of course our Staraptor does not have any play against Lantern, so we won't have to stay in here. We have to try to play it out. You can of course use something like a Mud Boy in the lead as well instead of the Lantern, which would work out for you as well. But let's take a look at this matchup here. We're going to see them swapping out into the Gligar, and that's going to be still a little bit of a trickier one. I should stay in for longer and go for another Surf and do exactly this. It should be just the Aerial Ace, which we can survive, and so with that we're going to be able to get a ton of damage onto the opponent and maybe put them into range where I can wing attack them down now. Let's see if this is going to work out. I actually decided to go into my Vigoroth, which can go for the Body Slam pretty fast. like in hindsight, I would have loved to see how the Staraptor would have been against it. Maybe I would have been able to just use a shield and farm him down. But like this, we're forced to go up with the Vigoroth against the Lantern, which is going to be okay. I can go for a Body Slam to try to get the knockout here, which would be amazing for our Staraptor later on, as they're going to have in the back the Sableye. And I just try to get the shield here. Please use a shield against the Rock Slide. This would be amazing. They sadly don't. And with this, it's going to be a little bit of an awkward one because, yeah, I kind of want to hit a fly. They're gonna go for the return. I don't really care too much about it. I can just counter them down or like fast move them down here, and that's going to be it for this game. Altaria in the lead. This Pokemon is neutral against every single Pokemon. Every single Pokemon is kind of neutral against it. Now, with also like the Sky Attack needing a little bit more energy, this matchup against the Lantern is a little bit better for the Lantern. Of course, I kind of want to go for something like a Moonblast here, which they actually do. And so we are gonna be able to still reach the Thunderbolt in time, but our lead is going to be fairly low already. We're going to be able to swap out into our Vigoroth, which is going to take another move. I kind of want to keep my shields here for later on for my Staraptor as the opponent decides to go into their own Vigoroth, which is definitely a tricky matchup for me. I kind of have to hope that I can still get to another Body Slam here, but I just barely miss out of it. And so, yeah, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go into my Lantern. I have to try to basically get rid of some energy of the opponent. So now I have to hope that my Staraptor somehow can sweep the entire team. We still have one shield after this one, but we're going to have a ton of energy advantage. So it might still work out. They're going to have a Jellicent in the back. This is possible. Like, it's definitely something that they can still try to win, but it's going to be a really, really tricky one. I'm forced to go for another charge move here. But I feel like they can just go for 2 Surfs, and I think that's going to be it already for this game then as well. Fly just barely does not do enough damage. I feel like if we actually had Brave Bird here, we would have been able to win this game, which is kind of interesting, but the Surf is sadly going to be too much for me to handle, and so it's going to be a good game. Final game for today, we're going to have the Lantern against the Talonflame. Decent for us, so the opponent decides to swap out into the Vigoroth, and I make a mistake here. I should have not done this. I should have definitely stayed in for longer with my own Lantern. This is a mistake that I made. I definitely should have stayed in for a little bit. But we're going to be able to go for another Body Slam as well, as I can reach another one afterwards, kind of forcing the opponent to go for another shield here. And so we're going to have a 2-shield advantage. And 2-shield advantages with a Staraptor in the back can be pretty huge. So let's see what we can do with this one. I can still get the knockout against the opponent, and I feel like Talonflame does not really appreciate the Staraptor, so let's see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be their own Lantern, and this is actually going to be interesting. They go for the Surf here immediately, which we will take, and so we can go for our own Thunderbolt and get them insanely low. And now we just have to hope that we can get them a little bit lower still, because we kind of need to get them a little bit lower, so we have to use a shield here. It's going to be a Surf again, but I might be able to still reach a Thunderbolt, and I can get that knockout. And so now it's a Flyer against a Flyer. It is the Talonflame against the Staraptor, but Shadow Staraptor with the new move Fly is going to be able to hit the very hard-hitting charge move and just one-shot the opponent. And this is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then in the next one. Bye-bye.